Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Jaded Blossom's March release is now available and it is absolutely adorable. If you are interested, I do have links provided in the description box below. So here's a look at everything that's included in the new release. We'll start with the Chubby Bunny die. Currently, this is not available for purchase. This is the freebie you'll receive if you purchase at least $60, and one item has to be from the new release. And this is only available on March 9th and 10th or while supplies last. The next item is a new add-on for the Build-A-Booth dies. This is the Easter add-ons. Really cute set to decorate your booth for Easter. We have Easter eggs, carrots, there's the sentiment eggs and carrots. Even if you don't have the Build-A-Booth dies, you can use this set on its own. Although the new Build-A-Booth die set is pretty cute. Next up is a stamp set called Carrots for Sale. This works perfectly with the booth, or you can use it by itself. I love all these fun sentiments. Bunny kisses and Easter wishes, bunny bait, jelly beans for sale, so many fun options. There are two new gnome add-on sets this month. The first one is chick add-ons. We have a large Easter egg that you can put your gnome inside, and you can dress your gnome up as a chicken, which is adorable. It has the new hat and also the chick legs, and there are also two small chick images. The next gnome add-on set is Easter add-on number 2, since they released an Easter add-on set last year. Here's an addition, and this one is so fun. This set includes a carrot hat, bunny feet, and also bunny slippers. So cute. There's a bunny balloon, carrots, a jelly bean, and probably my favorite, a tulip. Lots of new options for the gnomes. The next item is a new sentiment stamp set, and there are the coordinating outline dies. I love having outline dies for images and sentiments. Jaded Blossom always has such fun sentiment sets. Wishing you an excellent Easter, always be hoppy no matter what, Easter tweetings, happy Easter gnoming, I'm excited for you, and several others. The next stamp set is called Tulips, and there are coordinating outline dies. Tulips are my favorite flower, so I was really excited when I saw this set. It has the outline dies, so if you love to color images, this set is perfect. Or if you're like me and you don't color, you can use the layered stamps and some colored ink for that beautiful look. The final item in the release is a carrot stencil. There are two pieces. One layer will do the carrot and the second layer will do the leafy top of the carrot. I do have a few cards to share using the new release. For pattern paper, I'll be using Sunny Studios Spring Fever collection and also a couple of the tone-on-tone coordinating colors. I have dots and stripes in pastel and Flirty Flowers. For card design number 1, I selected two pattern papers. I have cloud paper for the background and also this grass design. I used Jaded Blossom's border die set number 2 to cut the little hillside on the grass pattern paper. Adhere those two pieces together, put ATG tape on the back, and add my card front onto a card base. This card will be featuring one of the Build-A-Booth die cuts, and I've already assembled it just to save time on this video. If you want to see how to assemble the booth, I have shown it in a previous Jaded Blossom video, and I'll add a link at the end of this video. As you can see, the booth is fairly large, but it does fit nicely on an A2 size card. I adhered it down using some glue. Now I'll add one of the girl gnomes, and I've already assembled her. This booth will be filled with beautiful pink tulips for sale. I cut out the back piece from some green cardstock, then the main portion of the flower I used pink cardstock, and there's also a separate die for that outside petal. And I only put glue on the bottom of that separate petal so I could curl it up for a little bit of dimension. Since the stems of the tulip are a little bit too tall to fit in the booth, I'll trim off the bottom. I put foam dimension behind the flower, and I'll glue down the leaf and the stem of the tulips. And I'm trying to get them placed evenly inside the booth. Next, I'll add my little girl gnome, and she's also holding a tulip. I'll glue her down right in front of the booth. I did put a piece of foam dimension behind the top portion of her hat just to keep her nice and level. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out Tulips for sale. That's the little sign I'll put on the top of the booth. I cut out a stitch circle die cut from some pink polka dot paper, adhere that to the right side of the booth, and I'll add the price $1. I did put some thin foam dimension on the back of the sign. I'll remove the release paper and adhere that to the top of the booth. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll use a white gel pen and add a few highlights to the tulips and the booth. I've already put highlights on my little girl gnome. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love how this one turned out. The new tulip image is just adorable. For the second card, I had her sniffing the tulip, but I felt like her hands were just a little too low. So for this card, I shifted the tulip off to the right. Now moving on to card design number 2. I selected this pretty floral pattern paper for the background and also some of the pink tone-on-tone polka dot paper. I cut out 2 narrow strips of the pink polka dot paper and also used a wavy border die with the pink floral tone-on-tone design. I'll first adhere the polka dot paper, leaving just a small gap between the 2 pieces. I think when I was originally designing this card, I was only going to add 1 narrow strip, and I had already cut out that strip, but then I changed my mind and I didn't want to cut into another sheet of the pink polka dot paper. So instead I cut out another strip and decided to add that wavy border between the 2, so it looks like I have 1 large strip of that pink polka dot paper. For a little bit of sparkle and contrast, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel off along the edge of the polka dot paper. This is the pink holographic color in the pinstripe style. I'm using some of the smaller scraps of peel offs since I will be covering up the center of the card with an image and sentiment. I'll wrap the ends of the peel offs around the back, put ATG tape on the back, and add this floral paper onto a scallop rectangle die cut. And this is from Jaded Blossom. Then I'll add my card front onto a card base, and you can see just a peek of the white card base showing. I used Jaded Blossom's rounded tag die to cut out the large white tag, and I'll be adding my gnome image on that tag. This gnome will be inside the cracked Easter egg wearing the chick hat. So cute. I used white cardstock for the background piece of the egg, and 5 different colors of cardstock for the fun pattern to decorate the Easter egg. I'm using a pair of reverse tweezers to hold those die cut pieces in place, adding glue on the back and layering all those fun decorative pieces of the Easter egg. It's kind of like assembling a jigsaw puzzle, working my way from the top to the bottom. Once I have all of those in place, I'll add the beard of the gnome. Usually when I assemble a gnome, I cut out that body outline piece, but you won't need most of it since all you really see of the gnome is the beard, the mustache, the nose, and hands. Be a little bit different if you're doing the girl, but I wanted to do the boy for this card. Once I have his beard on the back side of the egg, I'll add the chick hat. The hat is designed to match up perfectly with the curve of the beard, but I put a little bit of glue on the back side of the chick along the edge and adhered it to the top of the beard. Then while I wait for that glue to adhere, I'll put a piece of double-sided tape on the back side. Then I can adhere the mustache and his nose, and I did pop up his nose using some foam dimension. I'll attach both of his hands so it looks like he's holding on to the edge of the egg. And now I'll start working on the face of the chick. The chick hat is super cute. Use white and black cardstock for the eyes, orange cardstock for the beak. I'm trying to adhere the pieces down nice and straight so the chick doesn't have goofy eyes. Although I did make a goofy-eyed chicken once using Jaded Blossom's octagon treat box dies. I think it was in a video last year. So there's my little gnome wearing a chick hat inside an Easter egg. I'll remove the release paper from the double-sided tape, then put glue on the back of the rest of the gnome and adhere it onto my rounded tag. And I will have the very top of the chick cover up the whole of the tag. Then I'll flip it over and put thin foam dimension on the back of the tag. Make sure to get good coverage, don't want one area to sag down. Remove the release paper and adhere the tag to the center of my card. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut it out using the outline die. Wishing you an excellent Easter. And I cut out a second piece using the outline die from some pink cardstock. I'll glue the two pieces together so there's a slight pink drop shadow underneath the sentiment. I'll put foam dimension on just the bottom portion of the sentiment and glue on the upper portion of the sentiment. Then I'll adhere it underneath my gnome in an Easter egg. Next, I'll use a white gel pen and add some highlights to the chick, the gnome, and the Easter egg. This is an easy way to add some fun detail to your image. I have a small scrap piece of green cardstock. For some reason, this pen hasn't been flowing as nicely as the last one I was using, so it helps to have that little scrap piece to get the pen flowing again. I'm mostly using the white gel pen to add little detail to the Easter egg. For a final finishing touch, I'll add some glitter stickers. And this is something that's been in my stash for years and years, and I'm really trying to finish off this sheet. So there is my finished card, and I did make two using this design. I think the gnome sitting in an Easter egg with a chick hat is just hilarious. Now moving on to card design number 3, and I'll be using the new carrot stencil. I have a piece of craft cardstock and my mini stencil mat, and I selected the orange peel ink color from Catherine Pooler for the main portion of the carrots. Once I've finished with all the carrots, I'll switch the stencil for the leafy top. The ink color I'm using is Spruce from Catherine Pooler. Using craft cardstock instead of white cardstock for stenciling on will create an entirely different look. And I do have a card later on in the video where I stenciled on white cardstock, so you can see the difference. I'll remove this stencil and you can see the fun carrot design. I'll trim that panel down and cut it at an angle. I'm also using some of the orange polka dot pattern paper that I also cut at an angle. I'll layer those two pieces on some dark green cardstock. There is a slight gap between the two, but that's okay. I'll be covering it up with a stitch strip die, and this is from Jaded Blossoms Border Die Set number 1. I have some double-sided tape on the back, and I did cut the strip just a little bit longer than my panel. I'll adhere it in place, flip over my card panel, and use my scissors to trim off the extra. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I'll add a stitched oval die cut, and I use this lovely tone-on-tone green floral pattern. I'll adhere that to the center of my card, and this will feature another adorable gnome. This sweet little girl gnome, and how cute is she with her bunny feet. The bunny ear hat is from Jaded Blossoms Easter Gnome add-on set that was released last year. And she also has the little mask for the nose and the teeth of the bunny, and that is from this year's Easter add-on set number 2. In her other hand, she's holding a carrot. The sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. Always be hoppy, no matter what. I'll add a small green banner in the upper left-hand corner, and I use Jaded Blossoms banner die set for that. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll add some of the glitter stickers on the right and left side of the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this time I made a total of 4. For the second set of cards, I use a different pattern paper for the oval. Card design number 4 will be featuring the new Tulips stamp and coordinating outline dies. I have all 4 stamps set up in a mini Misty, and you can see I've already added color to the one tulip. The flower portion of the tulip with the stem is the same as just that top flower piece. So when I was prepping this card, I have several different mini Misties all set up with different stamps. And just to save a little bit of time on the video, I left off stamping one of the tulips. After using black ink for the outline of the image, I selected a light yellow and light green ink color from Catherine Pooler. Now I'll switch over to another MISTI where I have the layer for the tulip and the leaves all set up. And I'm using a slightly darker green and yellow color. So once you have all the layers stamped, you end up with this beautiful tulip image. Now I'll use the outline dies to cut them out. And for my card, I'll only be using one of the leaves and the tulip with the stem. I'll set those aside and start working on the background of my card. I selected this lovely purple paper with beautiful yellow flowers. The back side of that paper has a purple tone-on-tone polka dot design. So I'm using the leftover 2-inch strip to go across the card. Layering both of those on a darker purple cardstock. And for a little bit of shine, I'm adding some Love from Lizi peel-offs along the edge of the purple polka dot paper. This is the purple holographic color in the pinstripe style. I'll wrap the ends of the peel-offs around the back, put ATG tape on the back of this piece, and add it to my card about a 1/2 inch up from the bottom. Next, I'll add a scallop rectangle die cut, and I used one of Jaded Blossom's scallop rectangle die sets for that. Before adhering it to my card, I am putting a scrap piece of cardstock on the very top, just to keep it nice and level. Then I'll adhere it in place using some glue. And this is where I'll be featuring another gnome, this time a boy. And I have most of him already assembled. I'll put some glue on the back and adhere my gnome in place, making sure to leave enough space for the sentiment underneath him. The sentiment I've already stamped and cut out is Happy Easter Gnomey, and I do have foam dimension on the back of the sentiment. This little gnome will be holding the giant yellow tulip. I'll put a little bit of glue on the end of the leaf, adhere that to the tulip stem. Then I'll put some foam dimension on the back of the flower and the leaf before attaching it to my gnome. I'll cut some of my foam dimension down so it fit on the back of the flower. Remove the release paper. I'll add just a little bit of glue to the bottom of the stem. Once I have my tulip in place, I can add his hands. So now it looks like he's actually holding this giant tulip. I do have some foam dimension on the back side of his hand, and then I'll put glue around his fingers. Once I have both of his hands in place, I'll add a couple of stitched heart die cuts for embellishments. And I cut these out from some purple glitter cardstock. I don't remember exactly what set or sets that I found the heart dies, but they're all by Jaded Blossom. For a final finishing touch, I'll use a white gel pen and add some highlights to my gnome and also the tulip. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love the new tulip stamp set. I think now I need to make some in pink. Now moving on to card design number 5. I selected this fun floral pattern paper for the background. I'll add some Love from Lizi peel-offs to the center of that pattern paper piece. This is the turquoise holographic color in the pinstripe style. Starting off with the widest width, making sure to get it nice and centered. Then I'll add a few of the small scraps in the medium and the narrowest width. I will be covering up most of this background, so I really don't need to use a full strip all the way across. Sometimes I like to have at least one, that way I can get everything lined up nicely. I'll layer this piece on some blue cardstock, add some ATG tape on the back, and put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. This card will be featuring the freebie Chubby Bunny die set. And if you do miss out on getting the freebie, Jaded Blossom does release all of their freebie stamps, dies, stencils later on for individual purchase. I cut out 3 of the bunnies, all from polka dot pattern paper. The purple bunny has slightly larger polka dots than the other 2. Now I'll add accessories to all 3 of the bunnies. The pink bunny gets a glittery bow on her left ear. The purple bunny gets a pair of black glasses. And the yellow bunny gets a blue bow tie. The little glasses are my favorite. And you can make them sunglasses if you keep the lenses in. Instead of inlaying the eyes and the nose, I put a piece of black cardstock on the back side. I've also put some foam dimension on the back of each of the bunnies, I'll remove the release paper and adhere them to the white panel, starting with the purple bunny. Put the pink bunny on the left side, and I am tucking just part of her body underneath the purple bunny. Then the yellow will go on the right side, doing the same thing, tucking just part of the body underneath. For the sentiment, I've already stamped it on a stitch banner die cut. This is Bunny Kisses and Easter Wishes. I have some foam dimension on the bottom of the banner and some double-sided tape on the top portion. And I'll adhere that right on top of the bunnies so it looks like they're standing behind it. For a final finishing touch, I'll add a couple of the blue glitter stickers on either side of the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I have 3 more cards to share, although I didn't record the process. I made another booth card, this time featuring the Easter eggs. I added a pink Easter basket full of glittery Easter eggs, and you may notice the Easter bunny's ears are sticking up. Apparently the bunny is too short to see over the booth and forgot to bring a step stool. The next 2 cards both feature the adorable bunny slippers. The gnome on the right is wearing the new carrot hat, which is just hilarious. And she's holding a bunny balloon that I cut out from some holographic cardstock. The gnome on the left has her cup of coffee. Added a couple of purple flowers, and these are from Jaded Blossom's flower die set. And the sentiment, sending you a latte birthday wishes. And that sentiment is from Jaded Blossom's coffee break stamp set. After making 15 cards, there are still dies in the new Jaded Blossom sets that I didn't use. There are so many fun new images on their stamp and die sets, it was hard to select which ones to use for my cards. Now here's another look at the 15 cards I made using Jaded Blossom's brand new March 2023 Easter release. This is an adorable release that's all about Easter and spring. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Jaded Blossom always has so many fun products. I love their stamps, dies, and stencils. Their gnome dies are super popular, and there are dozens of add-on sets to go along with the gnome dies. And now they also have their Build-A-Booth dies with several add-on sets. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.